Hey guys, first of all, sorry the lighting is absolutely terrible, and the camera. I'm not in my normal filming location and I'm not using my normal film camera, so yeah, just to put that out there. Hey everyone, so I have to be a little bit quiet today because both my parents are still asleep, but today I just wanted to talk about something that's very exciting. And an accomplishment that I accomplished. So I've told you guys before that I have Tourette syndrome, as well as ADHD and OCD. And earlier this year, or I guess last year, I applied to be a youth ambassador for the Tourette Association of America. And early this year, I got in, which is a very big accomplishment, actually. And I'm also the only Texan youth ambassador, so that's also pretty cool. And earlier this week, I went to DC for a training for being a youth ambassador, and I met other kids with Tourette syndrome, and I met with the senators and representatives, and I'll talk about that later. So I just wanted to tell you guys about how that went. It went really good, actually. So first of all, for some context, I'm just going to explain what the Tourette Association of America is, what they do. So basically, the Tourette Association of America is the only nonprofit organization in America built to give awareness and advocate for Tourette syndrome and tic disorders. And every year they have a youth ambassador program. It's mainly for children 12 to 17 who have Tourette or another tic disorder to be a part of the youth ambassador program. There's also sometimes kids who know someone with Tourette's or have a family member, but most of the time it's kids with it themselves, like me. And basically what their youth ambassador program does is the YAs, or the youth ambassadors, go to schools and talk about what Tourette is, as well as advocate for it in public. But mostly what they have you do is you present to schools talking about Tourette syndrome, your experience with Tourette's, things like that. So I'm going to have to do some school presentations. Probably the first one I'll do is at my school. I mostly want to do middle school and high school because, I don't know, I feel weird presenting to elementary school age kids because they're way younger than me. I don't know, that's just me. But anyways, I'll probably first present to my high school, then probably the middle school that I used to go to. And then I might present to my elementary school, but like I said, I don't really want to present to elementary schools. So, yeah, I have to start advocating for Tourette syndrome in schools, and I'm a little bit nervous about doing that, but basically once you're a YA, you do that for life. You're a YA for life, and you have to keep presenting to schools for your entire life. I mean, not necessarily, but you can present to schools anytime in your lifetime, and you're still going to be a YA. And as I mentioned, I went to a training for it earlier this week, and I wanted to tell you guys about how that went, because It was actually really, really fun and exciting. So, first of all, with the training, obviously I was around a bunch of other kids with Tourette and tic disorders, and it was really fun to be able to be around other kids who understand what I go through, and all go through the same thing. I think we all really, really enjoyed it for that reason. And also, it was also a bit chaotic because there was a bunch of people who had extreme vocal tics and would shout out random stuff at random times. I don't have that. I have pretty mild Tourette's, but there are some people who have that and who have coprolalia, the swearing tic. And so it was a bit chaotic because people were shouting out random things at random times, but overall, it was really, really fun. And unfortunately, they live all across the US, so I may never see them again unless I go to TAA's in-person conference in 2 years. Well, it's next year. The one this year is virtual. The one next year is in person. And then we could also go to the Advocacy Day, which I'll talk about in a second. But we don't ever have to go to the training again, which is kind of sad because we may never see each other again. So now I'm just going to talk about Advocacy Day, which was the last day that I was in DC, and how that went. So Advocacy Day is basically where you go to Capitol Hill and talk to senators or representatives from your state, not necessarily senators or representatives, not necessarily the senators or representatives. It could just be their staff members, which is who I talked to. And you talk to them about getting funding for the CDC for Tourette syndrome and other tic disorders. And not just that, but also to spread awareness of it. Because a lot of people think that Tourette syndrome is just a swearing tic, when in reality only 10% of people who have Tourette's actually have a swearing tic. So we want them to spread awareness on that so that more people know what it actually is. So yeah, that went pretty well actually. I was really nervous about talking to senators and representatives, but it actually ended up going surprisingly well. I did really well. I felt like I had to hold in a tic for part of it, even though they told us, like, don't feel like you have to hold in your tics, tic freely, blah, blah, blah. That's the slogan for the TAA is #tic freely. So, you're supposed to be able to tic freely in front of the senators and representatives because you're advocating for Tourette syndrome, but no one really does that. No one really feels like they can tic freely in front of senators and representatives, so yeah. But anyways, it was a really, really fun experience, and unfortunately, like, I may never see anyone again. And plus, since I'm the only Texan youth ambassador, I don't have anyone, like any of the youth ambassadors near me at all. So I cried on the plane ride home because I may never see them again, and these are really, really special friends because they're the first friends that we have for each other that understand what each other goes through and goes through the same thing. So they're really special friends, and it's really sad that we may never see each other again. By the way, as you can tell, my tics are being really bad. That's partially from talking about it, but it's also because after being in DC, my tics are worse. So that's why I'm like ticking a lot, but yeah. Also, with like being around other kids with Tourette's, you catch other people's tics. Like that's one thing about Tourette syndrome, is that you catch tics from other people. So like by the end, like some of the people who didn't first have coprolalia ended up with coprolalia because there were a bunch of people there that had it. I personally did not catch anyone's tics, but my tics did get worse from being around a bunch of other people with it. So that's one downside to being around a bunch of people with TS, is that your tics will either get worse or you'll start catching tics from other people. So that's the one downside to that. But and I've been able to keep in touch with them because we decided that every week we're gonna do a Zoom call so that we can stay in touch. We also have a group chat too, so that helps. So yeah, it was a really fun experience, and I really wish that I could do the training again, but most people only do the training once, because once you're a youth ambassador, you're a youth ambassador for life. So I won't have to do the training again, which is really sad, because I may never get to see them again. Like I said, we might be able to see each other again in person, but not necessarily, which is really, really sad, because, like I said, this is a very, very special friendship, and they might be the most special friends that I've ever had in my life. So it's really, really sad that I may not see them again, but, you know, life, that's how life works. So anyway, that was the video. Hope you enjoyed it. Just enjoyed me talking about the experience. So yeah, bye.